What's happening, Wargamers? Welcome to the After Action Report, Invaders versus Winter Guard, and frankly, a win for the Invaders that I don't think I deserved there.
I think you deserved it. You had some good plays. There was some nasty rolls throughout, but yeah, that was kind of nuts.
We both definitely had, I was very worried early game.
Yeah.
When you blew up the bodega, you had a lot of my guys really hurting after round one, round two.
Well, and this game was all about chip damage. We had a couple of big attacks that did stuff, but chip damage everywhere all the time, right?
Yeah, you did a massive amount of chip damage between Red Agent and Homing Rockets. Red Guardian had me constantly on edge because of his stupid Comrade's Keeper.
Yep.
Which honestly, it wasn't until you're like, oh wait, damage needed to be done for you to throw. It's like, oh, that was like a little saving grace, right? Steve continues to do nothing for me. Steve, you suck, man. I even gave you 2 rerolls and you suck.
3 sometimes.
On his attacks, 2 rerolls, but on his defenses. I get 3 rerolls on his defenses, so naturally on a 5-die attack, I'll take 4 damage.
Yay!
God damn. That was a tight game. Honestly, it went so many different directions there.
It was. I liked this scenario. It was nice with Sable. I really felt like her shot caller was just on point at any time. Anytime you thought you had the thing figured out, shot caller, that's something else happening.
Shot caller was frustrating. You always had the friggin' power to make me reroll dice.
Yep.
With Dynamo there, your team just really worked well together.
Now, it is funny, though, because at the start of the thing, you were saying, hey, do you need Zemo for your team? And I'm like, I don't need him. And if I had rerolls this game, I feel like every time I got to reroll with Bucky, I was gold. Everything was going great.
Yeah, Bucky's rerolls, you always converted.
Yeah.
And Crimson Dynamo making me reroll, you almost always converted. You got value.
Yeah, it was great.
Got stupid amounts of value there.
Well, and he definitely got the wild on one of them, causing the explosive.
Oh my goodness!
It was wild, and I loved it.
It was a wild game. And the funny thing is, at the start of the game, we're like, oh yeah, there's 6 points on the table. This is gonna be fast scoring. Yeah. And I think we had 2 turns where we scored nothing.
Yeah, it was brutal. And to be fair, it was a mid-table scrum, right? We're just punch, and then rounds 4, 5, 6, we kind of separated, and
things really started slowing down there. You knocked down a couple of my guys before they could really do much of anything.
Yeah,
Bucky was just a nuisance the whole bloody game for me there. I was struggling to deal with them. Even Red Guardian.
Yes.
A lot of your guys, I ended up in a situation where I left them on 1.
Well, and I thought when you dropped Red Guardian to 1 after he'd already dazed, he was just gonzo, and I was going to be behind on action.
Action economy?
Yeah, and he stayed up for, I want to say 6 attacks or something.
Your guys took way more attacks than I wanted to have to put into them.
Yeah.
Both Bucky and Dynamo and Red Guardian and Sable. When Namor failed to take Sable out when I went hunting there, that was frustrating.
But I will say that Sable having pseudo stealth, because you thought that she had stealth for a whole bunch of turns, kind of gave me some advantage in this game.
And I'm pretty sure we went over that 3 times this game, and every time I thought she had stealth and forgot.
You were talking about killing her, and I'm like, but what if instead you forgot that she didn't have stealth, and then you went, oh no, I can't shoot her. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I really liked that game.
This was a tough game. Dynamo was always hard to go into.
Yeah.
You didn't really get to take advantage of your leadership all that much. I think you shook 2 conditions.
Oh, but when it mattered, right?
That's very true.
The one was a stun into Dynamo, which was if he needs that power. You were saying he always has it. The reason he always had it is because he got damaged.
No, it's not because he got damaged. It's because he kept hitting 2-3 targets with your beams.
From that point on, though, you hit him with actual decent attacks. You hit him for 3 and you hit him for 2, I think, because I couldn't stop it with my damage reduction. And that was a big deal for that.
That's fair.
And the bleed on Red Guardian, so he could actually take a second action.
The bleed decent. On Red Guardian was the bigger one. I forgot about your leadership and thought I had Red Guardian locked up there.
Yeah.
Not so much. Hoff and the boys continue to just be awesome.
Yep.
I love Hoff and the boys.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I poured entirely too much damage into their direction. I did not have the results I needed for it.
Now, in all fairness, you took out everyone on my team, and Hoff and the boys only had 2 health left. right? So saying you poured entirely too much damage in their direction, like
I definitely felt there was a turn where I should have killed them instead of killing Zemo and Namor. That's how bad I felt about that. So.
that's fair. That's fair. Well, you were really concerned about the got your backs.
Yes.
Which, I mean, in all fairness, that is something to be concerned about.
It usually cost me power on Red Guardian and on Crimson Dynamo, and that was the bigger deal, right? You're just having a little bit extra action economy.
Yeah. And it was definitely one of those games where, like, I think we both had instances where some attacks just failed to materialize for us.
Yeah.
Which was no good. But
very frustrating.
I would say, like, your team really showed up.
Yes.
Like, your guys, Red Guardian did what he's supposed to do.
Yep. He took it in the face, and he was out for the second act, but that doesn't matter. He held up the first part of the act. Yep. And he did call an airstrike on himself, so glory to our hero of the Soviet Union.
Yeah, exactly. Dynamo just always does what Dynamo does. I love New Bucky. New Bucky's great, and I think you got a much better showing out of Sable than we've gotten in our previous games.
She didn't do a lot of damage, but I didn't need her to do damage. The movement was more than enough.
Shotcaller was enough, and she was she soaked up attacks that honestly I probably shouldn't have been putting into her.
That's fair.
Because I think that was that was somewhere else that I kind of got lucky there. Namor probably should have been going after like Bucky earlier on and not worrying about Sable. Because I mean, at range, Sable's only throwing what 5 die attacks.
5 dice attacks, yeah.
Yeah, so
5 and 6.
I probably would have been fine just not feeding her power there.
Yep.
Excuse me. And Namor maybe going more into Dynamo or more into Bucky probably would have been a better call on my part. But yeah, and I mean, I got lucky when I moved Cap and you got the kill box off.
Yep.
And it's like, well, Cap has 1 health remaining. He's maybe not surviving this.
Yeah. Well, and the worst thing is I had Recal Matrix, and there was a whole bunch of times where I chose something instead of that, and I don't know. There's probably somewhere I could have made that work better.
That's weird because I look back on it, like I don't think that there was any point where it was like, yeah, this is definitely the Recal point.
Yep.
Right? Like, a lot of the attacks, a lot of the defense rolls, you did just well enough.
Well, I had one situation where you had, I think it was 5 hits, and I rolled 3 skulls, and I had, like, a crit or something like that, and it was like, this would be perfect if it wasn't skulls. Yeah. But, yeah.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where, like, every single time it's like, well, if I recal, maybe it becomes a worse situation.
Yeah, and that's always a risk, right?
The only time I can think of it, did you have power to recal at the very end there against Oh, okay. No. Oh, that's right, you had the propulsion thrust.
I did. And while Shotcaller did give Dynamo an extra power, it brought him up to 2, not 3, so...
Okay, so that's why I didn't get recalled at the very end there.
Yep.
Because you've also had some really quality recalls in the past few games.
I really did. I was hoping to end this game with a nice thing, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, it was very tight game. Like, I mean, that's painful right there. So many injured and dead fellas. And for a team that actually has pretty good defensive stats, I mean, I went down like a friggin' sack of potatoes.
And with all those rerolls.
Yeah, all those rerolls. And I mean, I wasn't even off the curve. I converted a lot of good defense.
Sure did.
Just not on Steve.
Yeah. No, never on Steve. Never on
Steve. Captain America does not defend anything. I don't know why people say he's so defensive.
His face defends America. Because
exactly.
they're too busy punching his face and not hitting America.
He blocks it with his face.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right, yeah. So final score was 12-7. Very tight win. Almost a win by tabling the Invaders here. I got really lucky at the end there with some good defensive rolls. And that was just kind of where we're ending, I guess. So, Troop, as always, good game, man. Had a lot of fun.
Great game.
And we'll see you guys next time. Happy wargaming.